Today Trek released a very interesting eMTB. Meet the all-new Trek Fuel EXe. In this video, I will go through all the interesting facts that are available as of this launch. I thought that Trek would just release another version of the analog Fuel EXe in this launch, since the new top fuel is so close in the range. But I was really surprised that Trek instead launched an e-bike version of the Trek Fuel EXe. But make no mistake, the Fuel EXe is an entirely new bike and it's slacker, longer than the standard Fuel EXe. To me, this bike looks very sleek for being an eMTB, and you really need to look closely to see that this actually is an eMTB. This is also the first time we see the brand new TQ HPR 50, where 50 stands for 50 Nm of peak torque. The battery capacity is 360 Wh and should give you between 2 to 5 hours of assist according to Trek. The claimed weight is 18.4 kilos, which puts this bike in the popular lightweight category of eMTBs, together with the specialized Turbo Levo SL, Lapierre E60 and the viewersI. The aim of the Fuel EXe is to make a bike that removes the boundaries between analog bikes and assisted bikes rather than to make another full-fat eMTB, like the Trek Rail. As far as I can tell, there's only a carbon option, and I don't know if there will ever be an aluminium version of this bike. The frame differs a bit from the Fuel EXe, but it still sits right in the middle of the trail segment. There is a flip chip called Minolink in Trek lingo, and the bike ships in the low setting. Reach in size large is 485mm, which follows the new trend of longer reach than what was normal only a couple of years ago. Much of that has to do with compensating for the slack head angle at just under 65 degrees and the steep C-tube angle at 77 degrees. Chainstay length is 440mm in all sizes, which isn't super short, but should provide for a balanced ride. Stack height is at around 630mm. Travel is 150mm in the front and 140mm in the rear. All bikes come with 29-inch wheels, both front and rear, but you can ride it as a mullet with the flip chip in the high setting, should you prefer to. Rotor size is 200 and 180mm respectively, and the dropper is between 170mm to 200mm, depending on the version of the bike as far as I can tell. I only have the weight for the top-end version of the Fuel EXe, and the claimed weight is 18.4 kilos. The bike comes completely tubeless and with proper trail tires, Bontrager SC5 in this version, which should also be taken into consideration when comparing weight with the competition. The complete lineup is displayed here. Note that all versions may not be available in every market. Press pause if you want to study this image further. The TQ motor is a chapter in itself, and it's tiny to start with, which makes room for a better bike design. Trek has worked closely together with the German manufacturer TQ Systems, and the Fuel EXe is the result of that effort. The drive unit weighs 1,850 grams and delivers 50 Nm of peak torque and 300 watts of peak power. The removable 360 Wh battery weighs 1,830 grams and can be charged in only 2.5 hours. Everything together, including the display and handlebar remote, weighs in at 3,900 grams. During the press launch, Trek and TQ talked a lot about something called tonality. In short, this is a very quiet drive unit, and TQ achieved that by using very few moving parts, and the drive unit also runs at a much lower RPM than other motors. High RPMs equals more noise. The transmission consists of something called harmonic pin ring. That's the HPR letters in the name of the drive unit. A question came up about resistance above the cutoff limit, and from what I can tell, the resistance should be very low. But factors such as water sealing plays a role too. A real-world test should tell. There's a lot that could be said about this drive unit, of course, but I will leave that for a future video. There is a range extender available that has a capacity of 160 Wh and it's fitted to the included bottle holder. It should give an additional 40% more range. It seems as if Trek and TQ have learned from the best and created a very minimalistic handlebar remote and integrated display. Simplicity is the key word here, and hats off to that. This is worlds apart from the rather clumsy and ugly controllers and bolt-on displays from Bosch. Only 3 assist modes are available apart from the walk assist, but they can all be tuned individually through a new app called Trek Central, which can do a lot of things apparently. Press pause if you wish to read more in the next 2 images. The monochrome display is integrated to the frame and displays the most necessary information through 4 different screens. There is no knock block on the Fuel EXe since the display takes up all the space. With the AXS versions come the TQ Smartbox, which makes it possible to power auxiliary devices such as front and rear light, etc. The TQ Smartbox is also an option on non-AXS models. Another fun fact for AXS bikes is that it's now possible to power the rear derailleur with the main battery. If the battery runs flat, there's a built-in redundancy to be able to shift enough times to take you home. In addition, you can connect your Fuel EXe with most Bluetooth and ANT Plus cycle computers. I just received the official price list, and here are the prices in Central Europe, in the US and in Sweden. And again, press pause if you wish to study this image further. That about sums up the Trek Fuel EXe so far, and I hope I will get to demo bike at some point, so stay tuned till then. So see you in the next video!